Chapter 6. The first meeting with the Sheikh. Sheikh Abdel Fattah al-Hilali doesn't exist. Not officially, no social media, no website, no business card, no sign on his door, no record anywhere that a search engine could find. The only way to reach him was the oldest way known to man, one person leading you to another until you finally arrived at him. The mosque imam Sheikh Mustafa heard Hamu's name and lowered his head slightly, like a man acknowledging something he respects without fully understanding it. Then he opened his wooden drawer, pulled out a small piece of paper with a handwritten number and held it out to me. Tell him you're from Ain Ramada, and tell him Mustafa sends his greetings. I called the number that same evening. A quiet voice answered, steady, unhurried, the voice of someone who had long stopped being surprised by anything. Yes. I told him who I was, where I was calling from. He asked one question, what's your problem? I said it would take too long to explain over the phone, give me the most important, so I did. The sounds I couldn't explain, my aunt's behavior for the past month and a half, and the bruise, the handprint on my skin from something that wasn't there when I fell asleep. A brief silence followed, not the silence of disbelief. Something else entirely tomorrow, after Jio prayer. He gave me an address and hung up. The next morning I drove 44 kilometers on a narrow mountain road that twisted like it was trying to lose you on purpose. The town was small, working class, short, attached houses, narrow alleys paved with uneven stones worn smooth by decades of footsteps. The address led me between a vegetable shop and a grocery store with a primary school nearby, children's voices spilling out into the street. The Sheikh's house looked like every other house on the block, a blue wooden door slightly eaten by time, nothing marking it as different from the doors on either side, but when I stood before it, ready to knock, I noticed something strange. The surrounding alleys were quiet, unnaturally quiet for a working-class neighborhood at noon, as if this particular alley existed in a slightly different rhythm from everything around it. I knocked. The door opened. A man in his mid-60s stood before me, medium height, deep reddish-brown skin, the color of summer earth after a long drought, a short white beard, neat and trimmed, thin metal-framed glasses, a simple grey linen jellaba. But what immediately drew the eye were his hands, large, disproportionately so for his slim frame, wide palms, long fingers, the hands of someone who works with precision, not force. He looked at me without speaking, without his expression changing, the way a doctor looks at a patient before asking a single question, already reading, already calculating, then simply come in. The room he led me to smelled like rose water and musk, and something beneath both of those. Something sharp, like the smell of iron being hammered in a forge, not unpleasant, but the kind of smell that stays in your nose and makes you aware of every breath you take. A dark green carpet covered the entire floor, white walls with nothing on them except a long shelf running the length of one wall, loaded with books of every size and age. Some had dark brown leather covers with pages yellowed by time. I couldn't read their titles from where I sat in the corner. An old tape recorder from the 90s, a half-full bottle of water, a small vessel of burning incense sending a thin white thread of smoke toward the ceiling, and beside it a small glass bottle, cork-stoppered, containing a transparent yellow liquid. We sat facing each other, no tea was offered, no small talk. This was not that kind of visit, and we both knew it. The Sheikh closed his eyes, 30 seconds, maybe less. When he opened them, his pupils weren't focused on my face, they were fixed on a point just above my head, behind me, as if something I couldn't see was standing there, and he was reading it. He said, "How long has it been with you?" And my heart stopped. "Who?" I said. "The one who came with you, the one standing now behind your left shoulder." I cannot describe what happened in my body in that moment, except to say every single hair stood, not just from fear, from something wider than fear, as if my body understood something my mind was still refusing to process. I turned around involuntarily. The wall, white, empty. "Don't turn," the Sheikh said. "Calm as still water. That's what it wants." "Look at me." I forced my eyes back to his face. He was still tracking something above my head, something that moved. "This is not your first encounter with it," he said. "You knew it before your birth." The words landed somewhere deep. Before my birth. Some entities don't bind themselves to individuals, they bind themselves to lineages, to bloodlines, and when they pass from generation to generation, they choose the one most receptive to them. Receptive how? Sometimes weakness, and sometimes the opposite. I leaned forward. "What's the opposite of weakness?" He looked at me directly for the first time. "Sharp intelligence, the kind that analyzes everything, that demands evidence for everything, that aims logic at whatever threatens it." He paused. "That kind of mind creates a different type of opening. There is a door." "And I'm a doubter," I said. "You were," he said. "Were?" "The bruise on your hand, the voice in the room, the nightmare." He tilted his head slightly. "I think the doubt has retreated considerably in the past week." I told him everything for the first time since arriving in Ain Ramada. I was completely honest. The knock on the first night, Fatima turning in the dark, the words, "We have been waiting for you," the footsteps above the ceiling, my own voice playing back to me from a room I was standing outside of, the recurring nightmare, the inverted face, the words that kept returning, "You know where the key is," the bruise. Al-Khair, Hamo Bomalin, the Western Room. The board I still hadn't fully read. The sheikh listened without interrupting once. Occasionally, he wrote something in a small notebook. Occasionally, he closed his eyes, then opened them again, but he didn't speak until I was completely finished. When I fell silent, he looked at me directly this time, not above me, and said 3 things before anything else. Go ahead. First, what you're experiencing is real, not a psychological illness, not hallucination, not exhaustion, real as this chair between us. I'm not saying this to frighten you. I'm saying it because the wrong diagnosis leads to the wrong cure. I nodded. Second, what is in you is not stronger than you if you're on the right side. The right side has conditions, purity, prayer, dhikra, genuine seeking of God's protection, not ritualistic. These conditions will require changes in how you live, not just a single session of ruqya. Are you prepared for this? I thought about it. Honestly, I said, I don't know, but I'm prepared to try. That is enough, he said. He paused. Then the third thing is the most important and the most difficult. He looked at me steadily. What is in you did not begin in the Western Room. It did not begin in the house in Ain Ramada. There is a thread that extends backward into the family, into the blood, and a thread that goes that deep cannot be cut in 1 or 2 sessions. Another pause. Are you prepared to hear things about your father that may cause you pain? The room went very still. My father, every road somehow curved back toward my father. Do you know something about my father that I haven't told you? I asked. The board in the Western Room, he said. You mentioned you haven't properly read it yet. Go and read it, then come back to me. What you find will complete the picture. But the room. Go after Fajr prayer. That is a time of protection. Read Ayat al-Kursi before you enter. Don't stay longer than 5 minutes. He held my gaze. And bring with you what you will find in the right corner. What will I find there? A lead box, he said. I stared at him. He had never mentioned a box. I had never mentioned a box. No one had. How did he know? I walked back to my car in silence before I reached for the door handle. I felt it again, that sensation I had learned to recognize by now, a gaze. Pressing into the back of my neck like a thumb, I turned slowly at the far end of the alley. At the corner where it bent into the main street was a shadow on the wall, a human shadow standing still, but there was no one there casting it. The shadow held its shape for a moment, then moved deliberately slowly around the corner and disappeared.